Hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful today. Stop begging people to see your worth. Stop chasing people who don't see your value. You don't have to run after anybody who doesn't want to be a part of your journey. The moment you stop begging and chasing is the moment you start growing. When you begin to focus on yourself, on your dreams, on your goals, you create a life that naturally attracts the right people and the right opportunity. Stop chasing people and opportunities that aren't meant for you. Because when you spend your time running after things that don't belong to you, you lose sight of who you are and what truly matters. The truth is, what's meant for you will never require you to beg, chase, or compromise your worth. Too many people waste their energy trying to force doors open that were never meant for them. They keep running after relationships, jobs, and opportunities, thinking that if they just try harder, someone will finally see their value. But the problem with chasing is that it drains your energy, it steals your focus, and it makes you forget that you are already worthy before anyone's approval. When you chase, you hand over your power to something or someone outside of you, and that's not where power lives. Power lives within you in your ability to choose yourself, to focus on yourself, and let go of anything that doesn't serve your growth. There comes a time in life when you must understand that not everything you want is meant for you. Sometimes rejection is protection. Sometimes when something or someone walks away, it's not a loss, it's a blessing. Life has a funny way of removing what doesn't belong to make space for what does. But if you keep chasing the wrong thing, you block the right thing from finding you. Think about it. If you're busy chasing someone who doesn't value you, how can you recognize the person who will? If you're constantly pursuing opportunities that don't align with your purpose, how can you recognize the one that's meant to take you higher? The truth is, you can't, because your energy is being spent in the wrong place. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. You give yourself space to breathe, to grow, and to become. You start focusing on your purpose, your dreams, and your potential instead of the opinions of others. You start walking with confidence because you're no longer seeking approval. You're giving it to yourself. You realize that you don't have to run after people or situations. You just have to keep becoming better every single day. And when you do that, everything meant for you will naturally align. You will see that people who belong in your life will stay without you having to chase them. Opportunities that are right for you will come without you having to beg. Let's be real. Chasing something that doesn't want to be cut only leads to frustration. You start doubting yourself, questioning your worth, wondering why you're not enough. But the problem isn't you. It's the fact that you're trying to make something work that was never supposed to. You can't convince someone to value you. You can't force a door to open that wasn't meant for you, and you can't keep giving your best to places that only take your energy. So stop chasing, let go of what's not yours, and watch how peace finds you. Because the moment you stop chasing what's not meant for you, you create room for what's meant to stay. Focusing on what's not working blinds you from what's already working in your life. There are blessings right now in your world that you're overlooking because your attention is tied to something that doesn't want you. When you stop chasing, you begin to notice those blessings. You see the value in where you are, the lessons in your journey, and the power within your growth. That's where transformation begins. Not when you get everything you want, but when you stop chasing what you don't need. So instead of wasting your time trying to force something to fit, redirect that energy toward building yourself. When you do, you'll discover that the things meant for you never had to be chased. They simply meet you where you are because you become the person ready to receive them. Focus on self-growth and self-worth because that is where true success begins. When you start focusing on your growth, you shift the power back to yourself. You stop worrying about what others are doing, what they have, or how fast they're moving, and you start realizing that your journey is yours alone. Growth is not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about improving your mindset, your discipline, your habits, and your confidence. Every day you get a choice to complain about what you don't have or to work on becoming the kind of person who can create what they want. Real progress starts the moment you decide to stop waiting for motivation and start doing the work even when you don't feel like it. That's self-growth, building yourself quietly, patiently, and consistently. Self-worth is something most people forget about when they're chasing validation. Too often, we let the world tell us what we're worth based on likes, followers, job titles, or relationships. But real worth doesn't come from those things. It comes from within. It comes from knowing who you are, what you bring to the table, and what you will and will not tolerate. When you understand your value, you stop settling for less. You stop accepting disrespect. You stop allowing people to treat you any kind of way just to keep them around. Self-worth teaches you to say no when something doesn't align with your peace. It teaches you to walk away from things that cost your dignity. Because when you know your worth, you don't chase, you attract. Growth takes time, and that's okay. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, nurture it, and protect it from the elements. Your personal growth works the same way. You must invest in it, protect it from negativity, and give it patience. Some days will feel like nothing's changing, but every small step counts. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you grow. Every time you learn instead of complain, you grow. Every time you keep going despite fear, you grow. The small changes you make today become the big differences in your future. You just have to trust the process. Self-growth also means taking responsibility. You can't grow if you keep blaming everyone else for where you are. You can't evolve if you keep making excuses. Growth means owning your mistakes, learning from them, and refusing to stay stuck. When you start holding yourself accountable, you step into real maturity. You begin to understand that you are not a victim of life. You are a student of it. Everything that happens to you is a lesson, and if you learn from it, it becomes a stepping stone towards something better. When you focus on yourself, you realize that peace and progress come from within, not from external approval. You don't need to compare your timeline with anyone else's because your season is yours. The more you grow, the more you outgrow. You outgrow old habits, negative people, and limiting beliefs. You begin to see that some things you once wanted no longer fit the person you're becoming. That's a sign of progress, not loss. And here's the truth. When you focus on self-growth and self-worth, you naturally start attracting better things, better relationships, better opportunities, better energy. Why? Because your mindset shifts. You no longer move from desperation, you move from confidence. You no longer ask for validation, you embody value. When you walk in your worth, the world adjusts to match your energy. You stop chasing success and start creating it. You stop needing approval and start earning respect. So focus on your growth, protect your peace, know your worth, and keep becoming the best version of yourself. Everything else will follow in time, because when you build yourself, everything meant for you finds its way. Believe that what's meant for you will come naturally, because the truth is you can't force timing, you can't force people, and you can't force destiny. What's meant for you is already written, already aligned, and already waiting for the right version of you to be ready to receive it. Most people spend their lives trying to control everything around them, who stays, who leaves, what happens, and when it happens. But the harder you try to control life, the more frustrated you become. There's power in patience and peace in trust. When you start believing that what's meant for you won't miss you, you stop living in fear and start living in faith. You stop chasing and start preparing. You stop worrying about how things will happen and focus instead on becoming the kind of person who deserves the blessings you desire. Believing in divine timing doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means doing your part and letting life handle the rest. It means showing up every day, putting in the work, and having faith that the right doors will open when the time is right. You can't rush what's divine, and you can't delay what's destined. When you force things before their time, you end up with frustration. But when you trust the process, you give life space to align everything perfectly. The job you didn't get, the person who walked away, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers, none of it was a loss if it wasn't meant for you. You might not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that rejection was redirection. That closed doors protected you from things you didn't need, and that patience was preparing you for something greater. When you believe that what's meant for you will come naturally, you start living differently. You stop competing with everyone else because you understand that no one can take what's yours. You stop begging for attention because you know your worth doesn't depend on someone's recognition. You stop rushing because you understand that growth takes time. You begin to move through life with calm confidence instead of anxious desperation. And that confidence is what attracts blessings. When you're grounded in faith, you don't have to chase, you magnetize. You trust that every delay has a reason and every setback has a lesson. Faith is not about seeing the whole picture. It's about taking the next step, even when you can't see the road ahead. It's about believing that life is working in your favor, even when it doesn't look like it. Some of the best things in your life will happen after seasons of waiting, pain, or confusion. The waiting is never wasted because it's shaping you into the person who can handle what's coming. You can't receive a blessing you're not prepared to sustain. That's why faith and patience go hand in hand. The more you trust the process, the more peace you find, and the more aligned you become with what's truly meant for you. When you live with the mindset that what's meant for you will find you, you also stop comparing your path to others. You realize that everyone's timeline is different. Someone might succeed before you, but that doesn't mean you're behind. It just means your chapter hasn't arrived yet. You learn to clap for others without envy because you understand that their success doesn't take anything away from yours. You learn to wait without panic because you know what's yours cannot be taken. So keep working, keep believing, and keep trusting that the right things, the right people, and the right opportunities will appear exactly when they're supposed to. Life has a perfect rhythm, and when you learn to trust it, you find peace in every season. What's meant for you won't pass you by, and when it arrives, you'll know it was always meant to be yours. Build confidence by working on your goals, not on validation, because real confidence doesn't come from what people think about you. It comes from what you think about yourself when no one is watching. Too many people waste their lives trying to be seen, trying to be liked, and trying to be accepted. They post their progress just to hear applause, but applause doesn't build confidence. Effort does. When you focus on validation, you build a shaky foundation that depends on other people's opinions. But when you focus on your goals, you build something solid, something that lasts. Every time you show up for yourself, every time you keep a promise you made to yourself, you're strengthening your self-belief. Confidence is not gifted. It's built through consistent action, discipline, and courage. You can't think your way into confidence. You must earn it through action. The moment you start putting energy into your purpose instead of people's opinions, everything shifts. You stop worrying about who's watching and start caring about your progress. You stop chasing compliments and start chasing growth. Confidence grows when you put your energy into things that matter, like mastering your craft, improving your mindset, and pushing through discomfort. It's the small victories that build the strongest foundation. Finishing that workout, keeping that commitment, staying disciplined when it's easier to quit. Each time you choose progress over comfort, you prove to yourself that you're capable. And that's where confidence begins, in the quiet moments when no one's watching, and you still choose to keep going. Seeking validation from others will always leave you empty because people's approval is temporary. One day they'll cheer for you, the next they might criticize you. If your confidence depends on their applause, you'll never have peace. You'll spend your life performing for people instead of living for purpose. But when your confidence comes from your own effort, it can't be taken away. You don't need anyone to validate your worth when you've already proven it to yourself through action. That's the kind of confidence that stands strong even when the world doubts you. Building confidence through your goals also means being patient with your journey. Confidence doesn't come overnight. It's built day by day. Every goal you achieve, every obstacle you overcome, and every failure you learn from adds to your strength. You start realizing that failure isn't something to be ashamed of. It's part of the process. Each mistake teaches you something, and each setback builds resilience. Confidence grows through challenge. You can't develop it in comfort. When life tests you, that's your opportunity to grow stronger. The people who walk with real confidence are the ones who kept showing up even when it was hard, even when nobody believed in them, even when success looked far away. When you focus on your goals, you shift your energy from impressing to improving. You start measuring success by your own standards, not society's. You stop saying, I hope they like me, and start saying, I'm proud of me. That's real growth. When you're no longer chasing approval because you've already accepted yourself. You realize that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. You learn that progress, not perfection, builds confidence. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop chasing validation and start focusing on your goals, the validation eventually comes anyway. People begin to notice your work, your discipline, your glow, but by then, you don't need it anymore because you've already found validation within. You've built confidence through sweat, through persistence, through effort. That's unshakable. So stop seeking to be seen and start working to become. The more you invest in your goals, the stronger your confidence becomes, not because people clap for you, but because you finally believe in yourself. Energy attracts become what you seek. The energy you carry every day shapes your reality more than you realize. The way you think, the way you speak, and the way you act all send out signals that draw certain experiences and people into your life. If you walk around full of negativity, fear, and doubt, you'll attract situations that match that energy. But if you carry faith, confidence, and gratitude, you'll naturally pull in more of what you desire. The world responds to the vibration you put out. That's why it's so important to become the kind of person who already embodies the things you want. Don't chase love, become love. Don't chase success, live like someone who deserves success.